Hey, this is Paolo from Trivium, and if you're not in the now, you're in the nothing.
You guys are out on the big 5-finger tour right now.
Yes.
How's that whole thing been going?
Well, these are a couple off dates we're doing in between some of the festivals. Like we're doing, was it Rock Fest? Maybe
Yeah,
in
Saturday in Kansas City.
Doing Rock on the Range. Did a couple down in Florida. We've never really hit this radio market circuit before, and it's a new world. I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of new people for us, which is great, but luckily, you know, even though it's our first time playing in front of these people, they've been really digging it. So, like, last night was insane. We were in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I don't think we've played in Arkansas in like 6 years.
Wow.
And, you know, there's like 1,500, 1,600 kids there, and it was insane. Tonight's sold out, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. So, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when I heard that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, Five Finger is doing amazing at radio right now, and I think it's really killer that for the Trespass America tour they've put together, they've instead of just stacking the bill with, you know, nothing against anyone that is doing great at radio, like radio bands, instead of just stacking it with bands that are doing well on radio, they've decided to kind of look back towards the underground and, you know, get bands like us, Kill Switch. I mean, not saying that Kill Switch isn't, you know, big on their own right,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I think, you know, when it comes to underground, they're definitely one of the kings in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, God Forbid being on it, Amir, Battlecross, a new band, Pop Evil, who we met down at Earth Day Birthday. It's a cool bill. It's eclectic, but it's gonna be fun. And the whole thing with the festival is that every band can put on the show that they want to put on, and that's just a cool mindset to have with the festival. Usually in arena shows, it's like you get 6-7 feet of space, whatever's there, and
Mm-hmm.
a couple lights put on you, and you're like, all right, this is cool. And for us, you know, we've always been able to make do in a situation like that, and it's all about the music. But it is nice to have the bells and whistles sometimes when we're doing these shows.
Now you're talking about all the different festivals that you guys are doing. Is there any one particular festival that you're looking forward to going and playing?
Well, we're doing the European festival circuit up in like June, July, so those are always insane. Like, every single one is awesome. Download, done it. I think this is going to be our 4th time doing it.
Nice.
And that festival's incredible.
Yeah, that
Rock and
festival
Ring,
is
Rock
just
the
sick.
Park.
Yeah.
They all got really sick lineups, so we're really excited to be doing them again. It's usually like every other year we'll do festivals in Europe.
Now, what about some Trivium headline dates? Are you guys doing any of that? Have you talked about that?
Yeah, we've been doing a couple off dates on this run. Actually, tomorrow we got a show in like Lincoln, Nebraska, and then we got a show in Colorado Springs. So any days we're not playing with Five Finger, we're not doing festivals, we're doing our headlining shows. But these are the only headliners for this year. Unless for some reason there's a couple off dates on Trespass America, this is probably going to be it for headliners until we come back for the next album. And I think next album we'll probably do a full headlining run. I think this album we just kind of wanted to broaden our touring, you know, not just do the metal tours. We wanted to do the Dream Theater tour, the Asking Alexandria tour. We did do the In Flames run, which was amazing, but you know, that was an awesome tour, but it was like given that it was going to be awesome. That's like the fan base that we've been building for all these years, and we fit so well with In Flames. And you know, now doing this Trespass America tour, that's kind of like the final piece to the touring puzzle for In Waves.
Kind of getting some exposure to fans that normally wouldn't be exposed to Trivium.
Yeah, and you know, we've been pushing the song Black from In Waves has been, you know, getting pushed to radio, and sometimes you really need to just get in front of not only the audiences that listen to the radio stations, but really just in front of the people that program the shows and stuff, because sometimes they're not sure right away, but seeing a band live can change your opinion. So I think that's been helping us a lot. We finally cracked into the top 40 for the first time with that song, so it's all part of doing these festivals and just really getting into this new world, which is crazy. After 7 years of touring, it's amazing that there can be such large audiences that don't know who you are.
Now that kind of goes to my next question, breaking the top 40. What did you guys think when you heard that?
Oh, we're super stoked, man. I mean, we've never been a band that started with the intent of being in the radio world. I mean, all we wanted to do when we started was just play heavy music and, you know, get to tour the world. And now being 5 albums into it, it's cool that we're getting the chance to do it, and we're really thankful that Roadrunner's been behind us with it, because it's not an easy thing. And if anyone thinks that radio world is easy to break into, you can't really just say, oh, well, we're going to have a radio single and it's going to do good and all this is going to happen. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of work on not only our end, just from the touring, but, you know, the people at the label who really bust their asses to get the stations to try to put a song on the radio. And we're really thankful for any stations that have picked us up. There's been a couple that have really been supportive of us. JRR back in Orlando, our hometown station, and 98 Rock up in Baltimore. Those two in particular have just really, they've always been championing Trivium, and it's really killer that they've stayed with us. It really does help.
As I read early on when you guys were doing you know, putting out In Waves at the beginning, and when it was first you know, you guys were first doing the tour cycle for it, that you guys were thinking about making a video for every song, something like that, because it was supposed to be kind of the whole story.
Well, I mean, I don't know about for every song. We were gonna try to make every video be a consistent thing throughout it. I mean, the next video will probably be for Black if we do one, and I'm not sure what we're gonna do. Like, I mean, you start off with one idea, but then you know, things change towards the end. I'm sure whatever we do for Black, if we do a video, will stay within probably the theme of what we've been doing, but it might be a little different. And I think every video for this album has been a little bit different, so
we finally start to figure out what's going on in some of the videos.
Well, maybe it will just get more confusing. I prefer that, to be honest. I think I mean, since we're kind of going with that whole like randomness for each video, it'd be kind of cool if the next one was just really out there, something different maybe.
The whole package for the whole In Waves special edition package was obviously for a certain art direction style. Yeah,
we wanted to just definitely get outside of the normal packaging. I mean, the guys we all worked with were, you know, they don't even really necessarily work with bands that much. I mean, they just happen to be some friends of ours, and it was cool that they would work with us and kind of, I guess, do their spin on what a metal album looks like, which is...
Was it Colin Richardson you guys were working with on the latest album? What was he like as opposed to when you guys were working down in Sanford with Jason Sukoff at Audio Hammer?
I mean, every dude we worked with, whether it was Jason or Nick Raskulinich who did Shogun, or even Colin, I mean, they all have their own, I guess, areas of expertise. I mean, I think Jason, like a really great thing with Jason is he is a great songwriter and really good with song ideas. I mean, that was one thing we always definitely got out of working with Jason back in the day. And I mean, he's an insane guitar player, if people don't know that about him.
Cafarnum, right?
Cafarnum, yeah. The band that Matt did with him, it's insane.
Yeah.
Nick Raskulinich was also, I mean, he definitely brought a lot to us with the songwriting, and with Shogun, it was probably our most progressive album that we've done, and he definitely was the one kind of pushing the progressiveness. And with In Waves and with Colin Richardson, he was really meticulous with the actual recording and the quality of the guitar tones, the drum tones. I've never seen anyone tune drums that much in my life. It was almost OCD.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys are all perfectionists too, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've always, even with our demos and stuff, we try to make sure it's, you know, represents what we're trying to get across with the songs. I've always thought that with like demos, like, yeah, you can make it sound like scratch demos and not that good, but I feel like if you're gonna show someone that's not in the band your idea, you want to get it across, because they might just hear a shitty demo and be like, oh, that song might suck, but maybe your idea is gonna become something better.
That's awesome. And I know I remember hearing Colin mention that he thought that you were, I'm sure this is a pretty big honor to you, but he mentioned that you were probably the best bassist he's ever watched.
Yeah, play, right? That's pretty crazy. I mean, I don't know if I can agree with him on that, because, I mean, he's worked with Cannibal Corpse, and I think Alex Webster's definitely, I mean, the guy's been playing probably maybe twice as long as me, and he definitely is a monster bass player. So that was nice of Colin to say that. I mean, I think in terms of tracking and stuff, I was very well prepared. I've always, you know, for studio stuff, been made it a point to be very prepared for each thing, and I don't like to take more than 2 or 3 days. I think after that, it's just kind of like there's something wrong. I mean, with bass, you're just tracking one thing. With guitars, it's different. Sometimes with the layering, you got to do a lot of takes to get the proper amount of tracks, but with bass, it's, you know, if you're not getting it in the first couple takes, you didn't practice enough.
There's so many layers to Trivium, I know that. So when you guys are going about, you know, demoing and writing your songs, like who's the first one that kind of brings things to the table, and what layers do you guys put on to finally get to the finished product? Like, who brings what to the table?
I mean, Matt, Corey, and I all write on guitar, and there's no one person that kind of gets priority over, like, well, this is the song we're starting with. It's pretty much like what we've been doing on this demoing. Like right there on that laptop is where I've been recording all of our stuff, and we'll just literally plug into the stereo system in the bus, start jamming, maybe program some drums and stuff so we can make it really tight. And if it's not like a song that someone had full ideas for, we'll all just kind of throw some ideas in, and we'll finish up songs. I'll throw down bass. You know, when Matt's writing his songs, he'll probably play guitar. On some of the demos, if it's like a song I did, I'll just do the guitar myself, and same with Corey. So it's
because I know you contribute.
Kind of, yeah. We have like a cool system going now, and we know that we're not gonna have a lot of time off the road when we finish up. And we're gonna have to get into the studio a little quicker. Not gonna take like a full year off. So.
Kind of like in waves where you guys had time to sit down.
I mean, we just want to be well prepared, and I think we have more of a clear vision musically of what we want the next album to sound like, so we're just trying to get a head start so we have a good amount of tunes, and also, you know, let Nick really sit with a good chunk of songs that he can really, you know, get some killer ideas to and have a lot of time, instead of just being like, hey dude, alright, we're gonna go rehearse for 2 weeks, make up your drum parts.
Now, are you guys gonna evolve for the next record, or are you guys gonna kind of, I mean, In Waves, me personally, I've been a big fan for a long time.
Yeah.
To me, it brought me back to the Ascendancy days,
Yeah.
like no other, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And,
I guess what I can really say is that we're trying to make an album that's just the most cohesive album that we've had to date, and I think it's going to be a little darker, maybe overall a little heavier, song to song. So
Now, have you guys talked about when you want to try and release the new record? It's gonna be
it's
next
hard
year.
to say. I mean, I think the goal would be no later than probably the fall of next year. We're gonna have to record it, you know, second or third month of next year, but I
As
don't
a
know,
label?
hopefully maybe the summer, maybe in the fall. It's hard to say. Just when you finish an album, there's usually like a 3-month window of doing press and finishing up everything. So it just kind of depends on the timeline. How it's
Now,
finished.
has the label come to you guys and talked about the next record yet, or is this something you guys kind of just doing on your own and just kind of present?
Yeah, I
it to
mean,
them?
we always stay in touch with them about what we're doing, but they know that we're always writing and continuously preparing for the next thing. I mean, there's so much that goes into making a record, and we've learned from record to record that when you think you have enough time, you usually don't. I mean, we've learned that lesson many times, and that's why we just start so early. Just we're all into writing. It's not like a chore for us to write a record. I'd rather just write when I'm inspired as opposed to saving it all for like a 2-month block and then the rest of the time just, you know, party and do whatever. I like to fill up some of the time we have on tour with writing. It's usually when I'm the most inspired is like when we're out here. You know, you'll play a great show. You know, like tonight, I'm sure it's gonna be a great show. Packed house, 2,000 kids.
Maybe get some inspiration from somebody in
for
the
sure.
audience.
And honestly, a lot of ideas I come up with. You know, Nick will be playing one of our songs, one of our old tunes, or even something off In Waves, and he might just ad-lib something, or maybe there's some intro thing that we're doing that's just kind of off the cuff and not a planned thing, that he might do something cool and be like, man, that part would be cool for something. And same thing goes for everyone else in the band. Sometimes it's those moments that you can't plan for that give you the inspiration, and that's usually where I'll get ideas from. I'll just remember something that Nick may have done, and I'm like, I'm gonna save that and use that idea and try to base something off of that.
Well, just to clarify, I noticed that, I think a lot of people have noticed that you guys have a new drummer now. Travis left after Shogun, and you guys picked up, you know, this is Nick, his old drum tech, right?
Nick did Mayhem in 2009 with Travis.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and actually I've known Nick since I was like 6 years old. We started our first band together at 12, and like the first dude I ever played in a band with.
metal movie?
Yeah.
So you guys used to play together, so it was kind of a no-brainer when Travis was out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like fate-wise that kind of went into that. Maybe if Nick hadn't come out and done that drum teching thing, I wouldn't have thought about even. I mean, I always knew Nick was a good drum tech, or excuse me, a good drummer, but I didn't know if. I don't know if he would have been out teching for us. I wouldn't have been like, oh, off the top of my head, maybe Nick should do it.
So it was your idea then?
Yeah. I vouched for him. I mean, no one had ever really heard him play, and we really had a small window of time in between Travis leaving and starting the second leg of the U.S. tour, because it was like we had 12 days at home, which became 12 days of rehearsal, and then right back out on the road for another month, and that was Nick's first tour with us in 2009.
He's great. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, he's been killing it, and for him to kind of have to, to learn all these songs from the back catalog, and then at the same time, we were just starting to get into writing, or starting to do the demos for M-Wave, so, he's having to write with a new band that he had just joined, plus learn 4 albums worth of material. So, I mean, it was a lot on his plate, but he's only gotten tighter with us, and, I mean, I might be biased, but I definitely think that we're tighter now than we've ever been, and most of it's because of Nick. He's just a really, really solid, tight drummer, and it fits our music, especially with all the fast double bass, and then jumping into something else right after. You have to really be on top of that stuff.
Well, compared to like Ascendancy on like Ascendancy Crusade, and Shogun. How have your old fans, because obviously there was a little bit of mixed emotion when the Crusade came out, and then Shogun dropped, and you guys went another direction there, and you guys were trying to harness your sound, but how do you think the old fans and all the people that kind of criticized during 2006, 2008, how do you think they've felt about In Waves?
I mean, it's hard to get, I guess, a general consensus of what people think, because I'm sure some of those people may have moved on to other music in general, so... I mean, for some people, like you said, the new album, I guess, gives you the vibe of some of our older stuff. I don't think it necessarily sounds like a carbon copy of Ascendancy. There's definitely a lot of things that sound different, but I think the one thing that we always had talked about with the In Waves record was getting that energy back and kind of making a record that feels like the band's, has something to say, and that we feel this is important and we need to make this record, and that was the vibe we were going for. And I think the next record will be that plus, whatever, man. It's just we want to top what we've done with In Waves, and now that Nick's been with us for 3 years, I think we just have a better understanding of what we are as a band.
It's been 3 years, wow.
Yeah.
I think you guys have finally found Trivium sound.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're gonna I don't know, we've done so much with each record, and I don't think we'll ever make a record that's exactly like the previous one in terms of sonically, and we always like to experiment with stuff, but I think we know what makes Trivium, and at that the core of our sound, it's the riffs and Matt's vocals screaming and singing, and it's just pushing that further each record.
And before I pass this back to Tom real quick, the last thing I wanted to ask was I noticed that a lot of the bands from 2006, right when you guys were really starting to plateau, like bands like As Lay Dying and Killswitch is a good one they've maintained. I've noticed you guys, a lot of bands are kind of, not necessarily those 2 bands I just named, are starting to fall off, it seems like, and Trivium has been able to maintain success and build on every record. I mean, you guys are still playing on big tours, a big Radio Rock tour right now. I mean, how do you guys think that you guys have been able to progress to that next level without, kind of becoming irrelevant like some of the other bands falling off?
I mean, some of the things that people used to criticize us during those years, I think, ended up helping us in some ways. I mean, we made the records we wanted to, but we weren't always pigeonholed into one genre, and I think we just decided, let's just forge our own path and not follow what a scene or what the trend is. And one big key for us now is touring very smart and doing tours like this, doing tours like Asking Alexandria, even the Dream Theater tour, which was, so left field for us, but we had nothing to lose by doing it. Maybe not everyone would get us, but we definitely picked up fans that we would meet after the shows that were really into it, and you just can't ever be afraid to pass up a touring opportunity because it might be awkward. I mean, was the Asking Alexandria tour for us was great. It's a very young audience, and it is kind of weird to go out there and you're like, wow, these kids really don't know who we are. And you could have been around for 7 years, but the only way they're gonna know you, because we're not in those magazines that push bands like that, or whatever media pushes bands like that, we have to play in front of them for them to know us. And
different audiences.
it's cool, but the thing that was crazy is a lot of those bands were way into, Ascendancy in that era and saw us on some of those tours. I mean, the guys in Asking Alexandria were even saying they saw us back on the Ascendancy touring we did in the UK when they were all still over there. So it's crazy that
really
it
cool.
works like that. To me, I take that's like a responsibility. It's like it's cool like that kids are out there, and they're picking up their instruments. And now that we've actually met bands that have been inspired to play music.
So you guys inspired Asking
I
Alexandria.
mean, I'm not saying that
Well,
we're
maybe.
the only band that inspired. They said they were, into that album in particular and saw us on that touring. So it's cool that bands that saw us that far back are now kind of, coming out. Rise to Remain was another band. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah, of
from the
course,
UK. It's just cool that we're able to give people some inspiration to go out and want to do what we're doing.
I remember Bullet Fried Valentine, Matt and Tuck was on a Trivium.
Yeah,
back
that
when they
was
first
crazy,
were
man.
like
I mean,
on a tiny little logo supporting children.
It's crazy. I mean, and still, even now, it's like you meet kids that are like, man, I started playing guitar because of you guys, and we love. That's what we do this for. I mean, with metal, the only thing that keeps it going is that there's a new generation every couple of years coming up and picking up their instruments and hopefully making that band that's the next thing that keeps people getting into this heavy music. And, I mean, it's cool that we're still able to do this, and even at this level. I mean, like you said, there's some bands, I guess, from when we came out that aren't doing as well anymore, and for whatever reasons, luck, label stuff, or just not doing the right touring or not having the right album at the
I
right
believe
time.
from day one you guys would keep going though.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way.
Now let's just one or two more questions and we'll get out of here. But social network sites have kind of become the new big thing.
Yeah.
Facebook's Reverb Nation. What are your thoughts and opinions on those crazy things?
I mean, they're amazing. I mean, when we started, it was MySpace, and then by the time
Dead space now.
yeah, by the time probably Shogun came around, it was Facebook, and now it's Twitter.
Google
I mean,
Plus.
every album there's like a new social media twist,
Mhm.
and you really just kind of have to stay on top of it. I mean, it's crazy. It's just like I guess some genres of music tend to be more successful on certain platforms. I mean, I've seen some bands that are like huge with like Twitter following, and they're really on top of that, and their followers are just very, I don't know, they're always on there, always following things. Same thing with Facebook. There's just so many amazing ways to use it. You get so much, I guess you can track like where things are coming from around the world, and that's really insane. And I think now you can even send out like touring stuff specifically to people that live in cities instead of just blasting everyone,
Mhm.
hey, we're in Wichita, Kansas, when people in Europe probably don't care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Nice. And let's talk a little bit about endorsements for
Yeah.
you personally. What are you endorsing right now? Do you have anything you want to plug?
I've been playing BC Rich for about 6 years now. I have my second signature bass with them that I'm playing tonight, my
Nice.
all natural wood finish Warlock.
Nice.
And yeah, it's been great with them. I've been playing BC Rich well before I got endorsed, and it was the company I always wanted to play.
Mhm.
Ever since when I was young, I saw like Slayer playing BC Rich or
Yeah.
like Overkill.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I was just like, yeah, this is very metal.
Mhm.
And then luckily my parents were very supportive of me, helped me get a couple BC Rich basses, and actually my first guitar was a Warlock that my grandfather bought me that I still have, and I've just always been into the company, and their
When you
stuff
say
sounds
Warlock, I
great.
always think of the ad with the guitar in the bed
Yeah.
on the poster next to the girl, and
Yeah, it's a very metal, very rock and roll looking guitar,
Mhm.
and I love Mockingbirds too. I got a couple of those.
nice. Those
So,
are nice.
yeah, BC Rich is the company that I've been with the longest. We use Dunlop stuff as well, straps, strings, and now we don't really use any cabs or heads live. It's all direct to the
Nice.
board. So nice and easy.
Matt and Corey are back with Jackson and Gibson,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. The companies that fit them best, I think.
Cool. I agree.
Well, man, I think that covered about everything.
Cool, man.
We,
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking time to chat with us.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
We're definitely looking forward to the show.
Yeah,
too,
it's gonna be a
so.
fun one tonight.
First time in Wichita, right? This is first
Yeah,
time.
I'm pretty sure it's the first time we've ever played here.
Fun.
It's gonna be crazy.
So, what's your thoughts on the Wichita area so far? Were you able to get out and see anything today?
I haven't seen too much. A lot of open land.
Yeah,
Here
definitely
in this
that.
area.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more to do. It's just, unfortunately, we weren't in the best spot to walk around and see
Yeah.
the city.
World's biggest IMAX theater here. If you
Really?
want to see Avengers, you have to warn.
Badass. Maybe I'll do that later.
Yeah.
Cool.